Yeah, Madeira Beach. That's where I was staying. That's the first place I ever stayed where I lived by myself. The first house that I ever moved out and lived on my own, I was 16. It was like a little, I guess my first hood house, I guess you could say. Maybe I lived in a trap house at 16. I mean, just think about it now. Now that I think about it, I think I lived in a trap house at 16. It was my house. I guess we turned it into one. Man, I think we did. Anyway, so at 16, we lived in this house. My mom's friend rented it to us. In hindsight, it was a bad idea. Within the first month, I paid the first month's rent and we moved out. The house got so hot from the parties we threw. We used to steal a lot of shit when we were kids. And the police were just outside of the house, the park across the street, acting like, they were parked right next to each other, like they were talking, but they were really watching our house. So before anything popped off, I left. I was like, yeah, we gotta leave, guys. The police are out front. They're watching us for like a week now. We gotta go. So I moved out, which in turn forced everybody else, they had to move out. But we were all kids. We all went back to our parents' house. Then shortly after, I got with Dawn, and we moved into her family's house. They had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplex, and next door was a 1-bedroom that her uncle lived in. We used to throw parties at this place that were ridiculous. And I'm telling you, like, 200-something people. We let our craziest friends hold the walkie-talkies, and they were what we called security/crowd control, because we had to keep everybody in line. We used to sell drugs at that point that was off the chain. We was selling them off. It was crazy. We had beans, which is ecstasy, and we had acid, coke, weed, all kinds of stuff. But we used to throw rolling parties where everybody would eat a bunch of beans and eat a bunch of acid and get crazy. 200-300 people. We had a DJ with turntables. It was crazy. It was sick. I mean, like, crazy sick. My girlfriend Dawn ended up leaving me for my homeboy Nick. That same girl gave my baby up. She had my abortion, or had the abortion, and then ended up going with my boy Nick. He ended up not wanting to date her because that was my homeboy. He just banged her and then sent her on her way. But then let's move on to, after that, I moved out to Madeira Beach. I worked with Disney on Ice for a little bit, and then I moved out to Madeira Beach so I could get away from Port Charlotte. I lived out on the beach, and I'm telling you, like, within not even a mile from my door, I could be in the sand. Down the street from many a bars, Daiquiri Deck. Oh man, the Daiquiri Deck was nice. Well, long story short, Madeira Beach didn't last that long. Ended up getting a girlfriend there named Ray. She's another girl that had an abortion of mine. I'd have, I think 5 kids right now if they all didn't have abortions except for one. I have a son that's out there. That comes up later in the story. So I lived out Madeira Beach. Ended up moving back because I got in trouble after my ex called me Joey. I got a DUI because I went and got drunk, and then I caught probation because I was at the beach, and while we were at the beach, there was these 2 bums that got into a fight. Their blanket was next to ours. I was chilling up there, and the cops are telling the bums, make sure you guys grab all your stuff. Well, my buddy's blanket was in between mine and the bum's blanket. And they started grabbing stuff off my buddy's blanket, like cigarettes and whatever. And I'm like, hey, that ain't y'all's. And cop looks over at me. He's like, leave it alone. You know, don't interfere. And I'm like, no. They're grabbing off of my friend's blanket. That stuff ain't theirs. And right as I'm saying that stuff ain't theirs, one of the bums opened up the cigarette pack and there was a bowl inside of it. A marijuana bowl. Yeah. Cop's like, all right. Well, then whose is this? And I'm like, oh, damn. Long story short, I ended up getting arrested because I didn't tell on my boy. I didn't say it was his. I said, I don't know where he's at. I don't see him. And the cop said, all right, well, you're going to jail for it. I said, all right, sir. Put me in cuffs. I ain't say shit on my homeboy. I don't know if that's stupid on my behalf because I ate the charge for him or if that's a good friend. But I think it's a good friend. Yeah, I will continue.